Okay. Well, welcome. We made it tonight. Friday night Zoom for April 9th, 2021. So, and we have a participant in the room with me as well. So, what did you guys want to talk about? Because if I do all the talking, people might get the mistaken idea that I'm a teacher and that this is a teaching. And it isn't. There is no teaching, at least not in the traditional sense. A teaching meaning a conveyance of information or facts or ideas or concepts or thoughts, because that's not why I believe that's not why people are here, because you've already got a head full of all of that stuff. You don't need to come here to get more of it, more of that, more ideas, philosophies, concepts, understanding. We all have, we walk around with our heads jammed full of all of that stuff, and it hasn't done us any good. This is really the opposite of that, about getting away from all of that. So it's not really a teaching in the traditional sense. I mean, thoughts and concepts and ideas, information, understanding is useful up to a point. I mean, it's a time saver. It can keep you from wasting your time going off in completely the wrong direction. But it's important to remember the old Zen adage: "Don't mistake the finger pointing at the moon for the moon." It's like if you're it's like you're trying to get to the if you're trying to get to the edge of a cliff, it can be helpful to have a sign that has an arrow pointing in the general direction, which way to go to get to the edge of the cliff. If the sign is pointing you in that direction, then you won't go in the completely opposite direction and waste a whole lot of time. But once you've arrived at the edge of the cliff, you don't really need signs anymore. Once you're at the edge of the cliff, actually, signs, understandings they get in the way. And so these talks are for edge dwellers. You're already at the edge of the cliff. You don't need more signs, more directions, more information, more concepts, thoughts, ideas, understandings getting in your way, making it difficult for you to get to the edge. But ultimately, you're the one that has to jump off. I can't do that for you. No one can. So it's about taking the leap of disidentifying with the egoic mind, the mental conditioning, the thought stream in your head, which, on the one hand, is pervasive and very difficult to get away from because it's nonstop. It's a continuous stream. Though they used to think that people have an average of 50,000 thoughts a day. But the latest research says it's more like 100,000, possibly up to 200,000 thoughts per day that the average person has. And 95% of them are repetitive and fairly like meaningless, insignificant, just constant repetition of meaningless, insignificant thoughts. 100,000 to 200,000 a day. So, it begs the question, why do we do that? Well, it's a kind of hypnotic pattern that keeps you hypnotized. It's a non-stop talking voice in your head who and it's a non-stop talking voice in your head that keeps you hypnotized and looking at the world, perceiving it through a very negative filter. It tends to be very negative. It tends to arise for a lot of people as sort of what's left over from critical parental upbringing in their early childhood, for example. Or it could be societal or cultural or school conditioning, or your own self created, self negative talk. So it keeps you stuck in the egoic way of looking at things as everything is separate. You are separate from everyone, they are separate from you, we're all separate from the universe. It fosters a sense of separation. I mean, if I were to like attach myself to one of you and just follow you around, be right by your side, morning, noon, and night, all day long, every day for a week, constantly saying negative things to you. Oh, why are you even trying? You'll never be able to do that. They'll never give you that job. Why do you think you should even apply? The critical parent. You aren't good enough. Why don't you ever clean your car? Why don't you ever do this? Why don't you ever do that? Or the permissive parent, which is no better. Don't try, sweetheart. That's too hard for you. Take it easy. That voice in the head. I mean, if I were to do that to you after a week, you would be a basket case. Except that you wouldn't put up with it for a week. After about 30 minutes, you would politely but firmly request me to leave. But you put up with it when it's your own voice in your own head. You live with it 24/7. And people tend not to question it. They just perceive everything in their world through that filter, that negative filter. And then so they only see what proves the negative filter, what backs it up, what conforms to it. So it becomes a self fulfilling prophecy and keeps you hypnotized. That's why you need 200,000 thoughts a day, 200,000 voices, sentiments expressed a day in your mind to keep you hypnotized, to keep you believing in the myth of separation. But you don't have to identify with that. You can look at thoughts, I mean, they are arising somewhere. They are arising within something. They are coming from some place. And so you can step back from them and observe them. And as soon as you step back from them and observe them, you realize that they are not you, that they're just passing thoughts, like clouds passing in a blue sky. You know, the clouds arise, they start to float through the sky, you take note of them, and then they either dissipate or they go over the horizon, whatever. In one way or another, they disappear, and then some new clouds arise, and then they're there for a while, and you take note of them or you don't, and then they disappear. So if the clouds are your thoughts, then what is the sky? And of course, with thoughts, you can interact with them, and very often do, more than you do with clouds in the sky. A thought, like it arises in the clear blue sky of your true self, and you not only take note of it, you get all wrapped up in it, you get all embroiled in it, you start thinking thoughts about that thought, which generates more thoughts, and then you have thoughts about those thoughts, which generate even more thoughts to have more thoughts about. And before you know it, you're crammed full of thoughts and you're off on some tangent. And 90% of it is um, irrelevant and insignificant, but it keeps you occupied, it keeps you distracted. So you can, instead of doing that, you can choose to simply observe the thoughts as they float across the blue sky of your awareness. And then that lets you step back. Now you have space between you and your thoughts. You are not wrapped up in your thoughts. You're not trapped by them. You're not embroiled in them to such an extent that you have to follow every thought to see wherever it goes. You're the calm, peaceful, abiding awareness within which the thoughts arise.
How
So,
do you get to that place?
well, just being aware, first of all, of the thoughts, being being aware of the knowing that you can be that first of all, knowing that that place exists, that you can observe your thoughts, that you can simply allow them to pass, taking note of them, observing them, but not getting caught up in them, not allowing them to draw you in. Every thought wants to draw you in because it thinks that it is so important, but you don't have to allow yourself to be drawn in. You can simply be the witness of your thoughts. And it's it's knowing that your thoughts aren't necessarily right. They aren't necessarily full and complete. They are a part of your mental conditioning that was imposed upon you very often in early childhood. So sometimes it isn't even your thoughts. Sometimes it's the voice of your mother from when you were 5, still in your head, contributing to your conditioning, which means that you could be standing on the very edge of the cliff and not see it and not know where you are. There, it seems as though in most people, most human beings, there arises a contraction in the energy field. Yet the common understanding is that this happens at around the age of 1.5 or 2. Um, I'm not so sure that's exactly correct. From doing the work that I do, talking with people who have birth memories from sessions and my own memories, I think the vast majority of people get that contracted energy field in the womb, maybe even sooner, maybe even at conception, and which might be a carryover from a lot of, or an impulse from past life. And when it does happen at the age of 1.5 or 2, it seems to me that it's very often a conscious and voluntary choice that and so the common thinking is that it happens when you're 1.5 or 2 because that's when the cultural conditioning, your parents' conditioning, is becomes irresistible, and you just give up and you contract your energy and go into separation. And before that, you were this loving, unconditionally loving infant who just saw everything as one and had no idea about, I'm over here in my body and mommy's over there in her body and we're separate. Um, that's the common thinking. And that you just, this, you get into this, you get coerced. It's almost like you're forced into agreeing to go along with the common idea that we're all separate beings, and you contract your energy field. But I've found that a lot of people, it's the exact opposite. It's not that you got coerced and forced into it. It's more like out of unconditional love and a desire to help others, you're looking at all these suffering beings around you and you're like, what is up with this? These people completely don't understand what what reality is. They are seeing everything as separate and they don't understand that we're all one. And out of like an unconditional love and desire to help, you you reach the conclusion that the best way you can help is to jump down in the mud and the muck and the mire with everyone else. And your intention might be to remember that you did that and then help people get out of it. But the shock of the immersion into the mud and the muck and the mire is so strong and traumatic that oftentimes we forget that we made that conscious choice to enter into separation, to contract our energy field. Um, but however it happens, whenever it happens, whether it happens through coercion and force and just reluctantly going along with all the pressures being put on you to go along at the age of 1.5 or 2, whether it happens, it's just a natural psychological development, or it happens in the womb or at conception. Whenever it happens, people can disagree on the when and the why. But whenever it happens, what happens is a contraction in the energy field. And then that contraction in the energy field, from that arises a sense of I, the I sense, the self, the mental representation of you, the way that you begin to think about yourself, the model, the map in your head of reality that has you as an object inside your head so that you can think about yourself, so that you can have self reflection. And then after that sense of I-ness arises, because this sense of I-ness is not you, it's just a thought, but you think it's you. And so on a subconscious level, you feel threatened. Your very existence is at stake all the time because you've identified with a thought, and the thought is not real. You're real. The empty sky of awareness within which the clouds arise, the sky is real, but the thoughts simply are constantly changing. They're impermanent. They're arising, existing for a little while, and then disappearing. So it's like believing that you're the clouds and forgetting that you're the sky within which the clouds are moving. And so that first cloud, that first thought is I am. I exist. I exist to stand out from. I exist because I stand out from all that is. I'm my own little separate entity. And so I exist by being separate from all that is. And that's just a thought. And on some level, you know that. So if that is you, then you're a very threatened being. You could vanish at any moment. The thought could go away, the cloud could go over the horizon, and you would not be anymore. So you want to make that thought stronger. So you try to grab things to add to it. I am. I am a man. I am a school teacher. I have a car. I have a job. I have a wife. I have a rose garden. I have status in the community. I have money, material things, non physical additions like status, prestige, fame. I have a husband or wife, boyfriend or girlfriend, someone who proves I am valuable because they love me. It's all things that we bring into the I thought to try to make it stronger. But it's never going to work because we know the I thought isn't real. It's just a thought. What is real is the sky within which the I thought arises. What's real is the awareness within which the thinking arises, within which the thoughts arise, the space of consciousness that hosts all of these thoughts and ideas and concepts and perceptions. So it's not really a teaching. It's not really a teaching because you can't think your way out of this. You can't be given any kind of information or understanding that is going to solve the problem of the non-existent mental mentally conditioned egoic I that you have created to represent yourself inside your head when you think about yourself. Any kind of information or understanding or concepts or ideas that you could get would just be more of the same. It's just something else to acquire, to add to the thought of I, to try to make it in an effort to try to make it stronger, to shore it up, to make it seem less flimsy, less threatened. And so part of that whole contracted energy field is a creation of perceptual filters that reinforce the idea of separation, which is what the contracted energy field is all about. It's about you're contracting. You are one with the total the totality, the manifest universe. You are one with that energy. You are one with all of that. But in an effort to have self existence and independent existence, you contract your energy field so that you pull away from all of that so that you can exist. You can stand out apart from all of that. You exist by standing out from all of that, by contracting your energy field in a misguided effort to separate yourself from the totality. And that then determines how you see the universe. It creates the universe. The universe that you live in is the one that you created with the act of separation, with the act of contracting the energy field. And you see everything through the filter of that contracted energy field. And that creates time. It creates past, present, and future. And it creates space. It creates here versus there, the whole space time trap of duality. And that's why the ego spends most of its time in either um, going over and over and over again in its head some event from the past, or in anxiety or hopeful anticipation of some imagined event of the future. It doesn't like to spend its time in the present because in the present moment is where your strongest contact with awareness dwells. In the present moment, by focusing your attention on the present moment, you are dwelling in that clear sky within which the clouds arise. You're not following the thoughts, going into past or future, neither of which actually exist, just like your egoic self, your mind made sense of self, does not actually exist. By going there, you that's the domain of the mind-made sense of self. You keep the ego alive in past and future. What is now. It's the eternal now, not the egoic now is like a nanosecond long, and its only purpose is to get us to the future. I'm talking about the eternal now. There's only this. All of this is now, and it is perfect, it is whole, it is complete. And the whole thing of looking for more and better, of this moment isn't good enough, so I can't wait to get to the next moment. The energy of that is very destructive. It induces stress and tension, which wears out the body and the mind. It's a constant efforting to get someplace other than where you are, because the egoic mind is never happy with where you are now. There's always something wrong with this moment. So you have to get to the next moment, which will be better. But it's all illusion. It's all predicated, it comes out of this contraction in the energy, which gives rise to the first thought, I am, which then generates all the other thoughts. So you have this heavy load of thoughts that keep you hypnotized from seeing the beauty and perfection all around you. So for the meditation, I, I thought we could do a meditation on the spaciousness of our bodies, placing our awareness on our bodies without a story. So I'm going to invite you to just begin to scan your body and be aware of the sensations in your body, but don't have a story about them. Like if your elbow is hurting, don't go into your story about how that's tennis elbow and you remember the day you got it, you were playing tennis at some place and 14 years ago, and that's when you first started getting tennis elbow and it really bothers you. And you've told the story a million times to all your friends, and you've told the story to yourself even more. And you might want to look at why do you constantly repeat that story. whatever your story is. We have stories that we're constantly repeating to ourselves. You've heard it a million times. Why do you need to hear it again? You've told it to all of your friends a million times. Why do you think they need to hear it again? There's this compulsion to constantly repeat these stories because the stories are what they keep the whole game going. And we are very attached to our egos. We want to keep it all going. We have a fear of becoming one with all that is. We think that we would cease to exist. The non-existent story of I ceases to exist, but that's not you. That's not who you are. You are far greater than you know. You don't have to be in anxiety and stress all the time. You don't have to be suffering all the time. Life doesn't have to be hard and difficult all of the time. There are challenges in life, to be sure, but we make it much worse than it needs to be because of the way we incorporate those challenges into our story of I. We make them a part of the narrative, and then it becomes more. Think of yourself as like a biased newscaster, a biased news media organization reporting on a corrupt judicial process where the police investigators and the forensics people and the judge and the jury and the prosecutor and the defense attorney, all of them are completely corrupt and on the take, taking bribes. You're the one paying out the bribes. You set all of it up. You send out your witnesses to find you evidence of the guilt of others so that you can be separate from them because you want to maintain this fictional sense of the separated self, right? So, and part of that whole procedure, part of the corrupt judge and jury is constantly keeping the negative thought stream going, focusing on what's not good instead of what is good. That's why you're always talking to yourself about your tennis elbow or whatever your particular favorite negative thought might be. That is the human condition. So when we meditate tonight and go into our bodies, I want you to avoid the story. Don't tell yourself the story about. I'm using tennis elbow as an example. I've
Emergency.
I've never actually had tennis elbow, um, but it just came to me as an example. So don't tell yourself the story about your tennis elbow. Feel the sensation as an energy field. Simply be aware of it as a pattern of energy, neither good nor bad, neither positive nor negative, right nor wrong. It's just a pattern of energy. You don't make a judgment about it. You don't weave a narrative story for your egoic mind about it. It's simply a pattern of energy. So let's start. So that's it. So we'll start now with the meditation, but just with that little proviso. When we go into our bodies, I want you to focus on your awareness of the physical feeling rather than getting distracted by your story about the physical feeling. So you can feel your body, and it doesn't have to be a painful thing like tennis elbow. It could be just, how you're sitting in a chair. So how does that feel? How does your body feel sitting against the chair? Whatever it is, maybe it's a good feeling. A fan's blowing cool air on you and you're enjoying it. Notice how quickly you can get into, um, you know, stories about the fan blowing air on you. It's not enough that it simply feels good. You're thinking about the Wappa bill, or you're thinking about it's drying out your skin, or you're wondering if it's making too much noise, and on and on and on and on it goes. One thought after the other after the other. So don't do that. Keep your awareness on the physical sensation of air on your skin. No thoughts, no words, no concepts, no understandings, just the awareness of what's physically going on in your body. So let's begin. Getting whatever your favorite meditation posture is. And let's take 3 deep breaths to separate off our meditation from the rest of our day. Just breathe in gratitude, and then breathe out. Just relax and let it go. Let your day go. You're putting the events of your life situation behind you now. I'm going to make a clear, clean break and demarcation. So 3 breaths, breathing in gratitude, and exhale, we simply relax and let go of everything. And let's do one more. Now place our awareness on our body. Just kind of scan your body from foot to head or head to foot. And as you look through your body, just look for any kind of pattern of energy that feels contracted. Any place in your body where you feel stress or tension or tightness or pain, which is just contraction, tension and stress to an exaggerated degree, a stronger degree. It's all just contraction, contracted energy. So you might not call it or think of it as contracted energy. So just look for any places of stress or tension anywhere in your body. And when you find one, just place your awareness on that and release it. Notice how you can be aware of places in your body that have tension, and you can put your awareness on those places, and you can relax that tension, you can dissolve it, and you don't have to have a single word in your head to do that. It's awareness, and it's feeling a kinesthetic quality of your body. No ideas required, no words or thoughts or concepts need come into play. So you find that place, place your awareness there, take some deep breaths, and allow the tension to dissolve. And notice how spacious that place is now once the tension has dissolved. When it was tight and stressed and contracted, it had smallness about it. A sense of smallness. And you place your awareness there and release it, and suddenly it's the entire universe. Notice a sense of spaciousness in that place. And so continue to scan your body for any other places where you feel tight or tense. It might be in your neck and shoulders, might be in your ankles, could be anywhere. And this is not an intellectual exercise, this is a kinesthetic one, so you listen to your body wisdom. If the best way to get rid of the tension or the stress is to move around a little bit, flex your foot, roll your head, it's okay to do that. But in addition to doing that, you also place your awareness on that tight place and allow it to release and relax. And once again, when it has released and dissolved, notice the spaciousness now in that place. Don't forget to breathe. And now let's find another place in our body that's contracted, tense, and place your awareness there and notice how small it feels, how tight. Notice how it demands all of your attention. Look at me. Notice how it pulls you down into a sense of contraction. And you don't have to go there. You don't have to agree with it. You place your awareness on that contraction and you simply watch it dissolve. You're not doing anything. You're not willing it to go away. This isn't about willpower or control. It's about surrender. Simply by observing it, by placing your attention there, that's all it wants. That's all any pattern of energy wants, is to be seen, to be validated. And once that's happened, it salutes and goes on its merry way. And so our tendency is to immediately move on to the next problem. As soon as one quote unquote problem has been dealt with, we our attention is immediately drawn to the next stress, tension, contraction. So that's why I'm saying take a moment and notice what is there after the contracted energy field, the stress, the tension has been acknowledged and observed and has relaxed and released. Notice the spaciousness that you have there now. That's your natural state. Spaciousness, expansion, expansive joy. That's your natural state. But you're always so busy thinking about the problematic life situation that you get distracted from it and you don't even notice that it's there. But it's always there. This moment is never good enough, and we're always heading to the next moment because we aren't actually seeing this moment. We never actually look at what's really there. Just feel into that expansion, that expansive spaciousness. So if there's any, we'll take a moment or two and look for any further areas of tension. Place your awareness on it, observe it, allow it to release and relax. Notice the spaciousness, and then so on and so forth. So we'll take a few moments now for everyone to locate as many of these as they can at your own pace. Don't forget to breathe. So now everyone has 3 or 4 or 5 or more areas of spaciousness within your body. Allow those areas now to join together to become one large area of spaciousness. Allow them to all connect. Allow this spaciousness to grow until it's as if it's your entire inner body, as if your body is hollow and filled with spaciousness. Now your entire body is empty space. And allow this spaciousness to extend past your body. See this vast, open, expansive spaciousness growing larger and larger until it fills your entire house. See this vast, open, expansive spaciousness growing larger and larger until it includes the entire planet. See this vast, open, expansive spaciousness growing larger and larger until it includes the entire solar system. See this vast, open, expansive spaciousness growing larger and larger until it includes the entire Milky Way galaxy. See this vast, open, expansive spaciousness growing larger and larger until it includes the entire universe and the totality of all that is. You are that spaciousness. That spaciousness is your consciousness, and it is not located at a fixed point, at some center. It has no center. Its center is everywhere. That open, vast, expansive spaciousness is everywhere, and it is your consciousness. Notice that you are resting now in awareness without thought. Don't forget to breathe. And so, as we rest in this vast, open, expansive spaciousness and enjoy our awareness, instead of ending the meditation, let's simply open our eyes, but remain as that, the totality, the vast, open, expansive spaciousness, the awareness that you are. So we'll open our eyes, but we'll continue the meditation. The only thing that will change is that you will open your eyes. And so when you open your eyes, you notice that you can look around your room or wherever you happen to be, and you can perceive objects without labeling them. So that's the end of the meditation. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. Um, I know a couple of people were a little bit late. I'm not sure what part you came in on, so I don't know if there's uh, if you missed a part and now you're all confused or something. But if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Okay. Um, Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Great session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Ray.
You're welcome. I have no idea what you just wrote. Oh, thank you. Great. Got it.